second here.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Line Breakers, show number 9 for you. I'm Game Day Greg alongside Benny Buckets. We have an exciting college football show for you today. So we will go over all of the games on the Saturday slate. Once again, somehow we are both over 50% still after 2 weeks of picking over 90 picks. And then we will give you our best bets and we'll go in depth on some games as well. So yeah, that's what we got this show. Hopefully it'll be a shorter show for you folks, but who knows what during a Line Breakers show, we sometimes go off on tangents, whether that be geography or whatnot. But anyways, how are you doing, Benny Buckets?
I'm doing well here, Game Day. Let's give the fans the results from last week. So start off with you there, sir. Another 500 weeks. So 2 straight weeks for 500, this time 22 and 22. The first week you're 23 and 23. So that's let's see here. You had 2 less games last week on the Saturday. As a reminder, folks, we do not pick the Thursday, Friday night or Tuesday or Wednesday night incarnations of these games. We only pick Saturdays, so it's Saturdays only. So on the season, sir, you are 45 and 45 on your best bets last week. You were 2 and 1 for the season picks, 3 and 3 on the best bets. Last week, I had a good week here. We went 29 and 15.
Killed it. You killed it.
29 and 15, folks. That's what, 64%. So we'll take that. Hard to do. Got to have some luck involved there in order to go 29 and 15, but we'll take it. On the best bets, we were 2 and 1, and overall for the year, I'm at 53 and 37. So nice little 16 games over 500. Makes up for some of my lackluster NFL results. And on my best bets last week, 2 and 1 and 4 and 2 for the year. So we're going to kick it off.
That's impressive.
Yes, it was impressive. It was impressive. Hopefully we can have some similar successes here this week. On this week, definitely feeling the vibe and more successful this year so far on the college slate and the NFL slate on the pro football circuit here. But we're going to start off here. Game Day is going to lead us off here with his picks for the week. As a reminder, just to give you a formatting here, what's going to take place. We're going to go over all the picks as we always do. A couple games we're going to pick here to give a little bit more meat on the, a little more meat on the bone here, a little bit of a morsel, a little sprinkle. Game Day would say. So we're going to do that for you. About 5 games we'll go over in depth, and of course we'll have, of those 5 games, 3 of them will be our best bets. So Game Day, if you want to start off here as we get the trusty pen and paper out to write this down for you and go from there.
Yes. All right. I hope we wrote these down in the same order to make things go smoother. But,
probably not. But that's okay.
Probably not.
Probably not.
But that's all right.
By the way, as a reminder, folks, please always remember to gamble responsibly. Only use funds that you are able to lose, as a little disclaimer they put on the Daily Wager on ESPN2 with the great Doug Kazarian, the resident gambling ESPN anchor expert there from the Las Vegas Strip, as you guys may know, on the Daily Wager, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific for you fine prognosticators out there. And then, of course, if you do have a problem with gambling, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. We don't want anybody to lose too much money there. Just be responsible with it. So that's the first thing. And just so you guys know where these lines are coming from, we are on the same page this week. Well, it was a little with confusion. We had the Caesars Sportsbook app here in Arizona, and we had Caesars website from Pennsylvania. There seemed to be a little bit of confliction there on the lines. Hopefully we are both using the same lines this week. We were using the same source, the great FanDuel, the #1 sports betting app in terms of market share.
Why don't you show the folks?
Oh, I don't have the phone out. I gotta get it up here. I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready. I was unprepared here. We'll show the folks.
To the white screen.
We'll show the folks. Oh, 1 second. Got to get onto what we're looking at, which is NCAA football. There we go. So there you go, folks.
Yes, perfect.
There it is. There is one game going on right now, as you can see. Coastal Carolina up 20-14 over Appalachian
App State.
I had to think about it. Appalachian State.
Yes.
Hard to see it when you're not looking at it, folks.
Yes, that's crystal clear 1080p there, folks.
It
Being
is.
able to see read every
iPhone
word.
8, folks. iPhone 8. Got to represent the vintage iPhones here. So.
Yes, yes.
But Greg,
So,
if you want to lead us off here, sir.
Yes, let's get into it here.
Yes.
First game, we got Illinois versus Penn State. I like Penn State minus 23.5.
Penn State minus 23.5. All right.
Northern Illinois versus Central Michigan. Northern Illinois plus 4.5.
Okay. Okay.
Wake Forest versus Army. Wake Forest minus 3.5.
Yep. Okay.
Oklahoma versus Kansas. Oklahoma minus 38. I know that's a big number.
Lay in the wood here, folks. Lay in the wood.
Yes. These teams need to win big in order to get into the college playoff. So I'll be alluding to that a little bit later. Kansas State versus Texas Tech. I like Texas Tech minus 1.5.
Tech. All right.
We got UMass versus Florida State under 60.5.
Under 60.5 FSU. Under 60. Okay.
Eastern Michigan versus Bowling Green. Find that on ESPN 8 the Ocho. I like Eastern Michigan minus 3.5.
Okay. Minus 3.5. All right.
And then this pick, folks, is my lock. Cincinnati versus Navy. I love Cincinnati minus 27.5 here for a couple of reasons. One is simple as they have to. Cincinnati is the number 2 ranked team in the country. And in order for them to make the college playoff, they are going to need to blow teams out because their strength of schedule is by far the weakest out of all of the potential college football playoff teams. I believe their best opponent is Notre Dame, did win, and then SMU coming up later in the year. But other than that, they really play nobody. So they need to blow out Navy. And they have the offense to do it. They are 6-0. They average 43.5 points per game, and Navy gives up 32.7. So I love Cincinnati here. I also love that over. I believe the over is 49, but for the sake of the show, we're going to pick one pick. We're going to stick to that. So I love Cincinnati minus 27.5. And then we'll get on to the next one here. Syracuse versus Virginia Tech. I like Syracuse plus 3.5.
Okay.
Kent State versus Ohio. Kent State is 5.5.
Kent State. Okay.
Texas State versus Georgia State. Battle of the States. We're going to go over 60.5.
Over 60.5. Okay.
Yep. Wisconsin versus Purdue. Purdue plus 2.5.
Say that again. You broke up. Sorry.
Wisconsin versus Purdue. We're going to go Purdue plus 2.5.
Purdue plus 2.5. Okay.
And then this game, folks, Oklahoma State versus Iowa State. Oklahoma State plus 6.5. This doesn't make any sense to me. I know we talked about this pre-production meeting. Oklahoma State's the number 8th ranked team in the country. Iowa State not being ranked. Oklahoma State having an undefeated record. Iowa State being 4-2, and they are still somehow a 6.5 point underdog. After beating Texas last week in impressive fashion by 8 points, I believe. They beat 3 ranked teams in a row. They beat Kansas State, Baylor, and Texas all in a row. So, I mean, that's pretty impressive. I don't care who you are. So the disrespect that the line makers are giving Oklahoma State, but it is our job as line breakers to find those and to break those lines. So, yeah, I love Oklahoma State plus 6.5 here. Maryland versus Minnesota. Maryland plus 5.5.
Mm-hmm.
Western Michigan versus Toledo. Western Michigan minus 1.5.
Yep.
Miami of Ohio versus Ball State over 51.5.
Okay.
UB versus Akron. Akron plus 11.5.
He's not going with UB this week.
I'm not falling for it this time.
He's not
folks.
falling for it. He laid the 9 last week. He's not doing it this week.
No, when they do win, they don't cover. But yeah, no, they
Was it plus
play a lot of
11 and
close
a
games
half,
and
you
they
said?
win.
Plus 11 and a half for Akron?
Plus 11 and a half. Yep, that's just
Okay.
too many points.
Gotcha.
New Mexico versus Wyoming. I'm going to go over 40 and a half. I like a lot of overs this week, folks. I don't know if that's a good thing. Colorado versus California, over 43 and a half.
Okay.
And then BYU versus Washington State. I'm going to go BYU minus 4.5. I think BYU is a great team. I know they've had some rough luck with injuries over the past couple of weeks. They lost to Baylor. They lost to Boise State. But I believe Washington's, correct me if I'm wrong here, Benny Buckets, but I believe Washington State's coach, along with 4 assistant coaches, were fired.
Yes, they did not. They did not comply with the state of Washington. The governor, Jay Inslee, he was a former Democratic presidential candidate, did put in a vaccine mandate for all state employees. And Mark Rolovich, the former coach of Hawaii, is where he got his start, decided not to comply, and he has been fired for cause or with cause, and he has filed a lawsuit. For all you in the legal community, I'm sure you're wrapped up in this employment law. He filed a lawsuit and stating that they have been trying to ouster him since April, and that this is a convenient way to get rid of him with cause and not have to pay him. So he will not be there. And you're right, 4 assistant coaches also did not get the vaccine, and they also were fired. So
yeah, so I believe that BYU should be at least a 6 or 7 point favorite here. So that minus 4.5 is a little bit low. Rice versus UAB. I like UAB minus 22.5. UAB played, was it UAB that played Southern Miss last week?
It was UAB who played Southern Miss and won by
Southern
38-0, I believe. If I'm not mistaken.
We were talking about this pre-production, folks. So we are sad that Southern Miss is not playing this week. We like to bet against Southern Miss.
We're also sad that UTEP isn't playing, because we've been telling you to get on UTEP. I told you my lock of the week last week was UTEP, not only plus the 6.5, but on the money line at plus 220. And they came out and they went outright beating Louisiana Tech, or La Tech at home by 16. So very upset that there's no UTEP this week, and no Southern Miss. Definitely will hinder our profits, unfortunately.
Yes, but we still like UAB there, minus 22.5.
Yes.
LSU versus Ole Miss. Ole Miss minus 9.5. This has to be a bounce back game for Matt Corral.
Bounce back game for Matt Corral. He ran for over 200 yards last week.
He did, but he can't cover the spread. Can't cover the spread. The past 2 weeks, I bet them responsibly, but yeah, no, they lost, or they won 52-51 2 weeks ago against Arkansas. Folks, if you don't remember, the Ole Miss radio crew is the best announcers I've ever heard on radio, college football or pro football. So if you have a chance to listen to them somehow,
they did cover the spread, by the way, last week. So if you did
they?
Yes, they were a 3-point favorite, and they won by 5.
We are running on fumes here, and the my Knicks are up by 8 here.
Yes.
So that's beside the point. So we're a little tired, but no, I like Matt Corral in this game. LSU at Orgeron, unfortunately, has been informed that he will be let go at the end of the year. I don't know how his team's going to get up a week after hearing that news. So I like Ole Miss minus 1.5 here. Moving right along, Oregon versus UCLA. I like over 60.5.
Okay. Okay.
Clemson versus Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh minus 3.5.
Yep.
East Carolina versus Houston, over 58.
All right.
Boston College versus Louisville. Boston College plus 6.5.
Yep.
Liberty versus North Texas, under 60.5. Mississippi State versus Vanderbilt, over 51.5. was close to taking Mississippi State minus 20.5, but they don't really blow out teams, I don't believe, and seem to play down to their opponents. So yeah, I'm just gonna take the over there. Temple versus South Florida. Temple plus 2.5. Then Western Kentucky versus FIU. Game of the week. I'm gonna go under 76.5. San Diego State versus Air Force. San Diego State plus 3.5. UTSA versus Louisiana Tech. UTSA minus 6.5. And then South Alabama versus University of Louisiana Monroe. I actually drove past ULM today. If you're playing the Where is Greg in the Country game at home. So give me ULM plus 13.5.
ULM, wow, going with the Warhawks. Oh, okay.
I drove by them. So yeah, just gonna ride with it. Tennessee versus Alabama. Alabama minus 24.5. That's a big number, but Alabama's a very good team. Nevada versus Fresno State. Fresno State minus 3.5. NC State versus Miami over 51.5. Georgia Tech versus Virginia. Virginia minus 6.5. The Ohio State University versus Indiana. Ohio State minus 20.5. This should be higher, but I like the 20.5. Utah versus Oregon State over 56.5. West Virginia Mountaineers versus TCU. I like TCU minus 4.5. South Carolina versus Texas A&M over 44.5.
Right.
USC versus Notre Dame over 57.5. Told you like the overs, folks. And finally, New Mexico State versus Hawaii, the 12 in the morning game here. Hawaii minus 17.5. So if you're staying up, there is quite a time difference between the USC Notre Dame and then the New Mexico State versus Hawaii. So you can finish all of the college football slate, grab a late dinner, grab some tapas.
Folks, get yourself in the mix there. Get yourself in the mix. 16
yes,
hours, folks. 16 hours of college football straight. I know you, like I, will be watching every second of it. 16
every
hours.
Second, yes.
16 hours of college football.
Hey, I needed both games last week to get 500, 22 and 22. I was 20 and 22. I needed both games. I stayed up for both games. It was a little after 1 a.m, and they both hit. So Mr. 500 here. Mr. 500.
Did you watch both games? You watched both games. Did you watch them?
Yes, watch both games. And yeah, very tired for the next day. But that's what we do here at Line Breakers. We put in the work that nobody else wants to. So that's my college football slate on Saturday. And Benny Buckets, I know the folks are looking forward to this. You have been on fire.
Well, you got to give your best bets here first. You
best bets.
Best bets.
Three best bets.
Week,
folks. Number one, I alluded to it in the beginning. Cincinnati minus 27.5. For all the reasons I mentioned earlier, they need this game. They need to blow Navy out, and I think they will. My second best bet is Oklahoma State plus 6.5 versus Iowa State. There's no reason a number 8 ranked team in the country who just beat 3 ranked teams in a row to be the underdog here, although Iowa State has a good offense. And then my third best bet will be BYU minus 4.5 Washington State.
Okay.
They may be calling you or I to coach for Washington State, so I don't like them even coming close.
I wouldn't mind the $3 million salary. I'll take it. You're not gonna find me objecting. So
yes.
All right.
Yes.
All righty. Well, we're gonna get going here. Hopefully, we'll have as much success as we did last week. So we're gonna start off here. Michigan playing. Let me get my app up here so I can get exactly what games we're looking at.
Does Michigan play this week? I don't even think I picked
Yes,
them.
you did not. You missed that game. Michigan playing Northwestern, so you got to pick that game as well. So you want to
Oh, all right,
bonus,
folks. We're
little
doing a
bonus,
live pick here.
little bonus pick, little live pick
Yes.
for you guys. Yeah, Michigan is a 23.5 point favorite at home against Northwestern, and the total is 50.5.
What was the line? 23.5?
Correct.
I'll take Michigan minus 23.5.
Yeah, Michigan minus 53.5. Okay. So I will go with that game, Michigan Northwestern. I'm going to go under 50.5. Under 50.5 for Michigan Northwestern. Next up, next game I've got over here is going to be Illinois Penn State. I'm going to go Penn State minus 23.5. Next I've got Wake Forest or Army. Going to go Wake Forest minus 3.5. Oklahoma at Kansas. Oklahoma minus 38.5. Kansas State at Texas Tech. Give me Texas Tech minus 1.5. Cincinnati at Navy. Give me Cincinnati minus 27.5 as well. Purdue and
Wisconsin.
Give me the under on the 39.5. I agree with you on Oklahoma State for all the reasons you said there. Oklahoma State plus 6.5 at Iowa State. Minnesota minus 5.5 over Maryland. BYU minus 4.5 over Wazoo. Ole Miss is playing. Who are they playing here?
LSU.
Oh, thank you. Ole Miss minus 9.5 over LSU. UCLA, Oregon over 60.5. Clemson, Pitt over 47.5. Now, guys, this is a good game. I got this one early already. I got this when this opened up at 46. It's already gone to 47.5. Clemson has not been that impressive on offense, but Pittsburgh has been, and Pittsburgh typically plays to over, so that's why I like this game. Next up, SDSU playing at Air Force. Give me San Diego State plus 3.5. Now got UTSA, University of Texas San Antonio, the 7-0 Roadrunners of the Alamo Dome. That hail in the Alamo Dome. I like them over Louisiana Tech. Watch that Louisiana Tech UTEP game last week. Louisiana Tech really couldn't move the ball at all. I know they're going to be able to do it again. And UTSA has one of the more potent group of five offenses in the land. Probably not as good as Cincinnati, but they're not too far behind. So give me UTSA minus 6.5. Alabama, Tennessee over 66.5. North Carolina State over 51.5 at Miami. Ohio State minus 20.5. Who are they playing again? Oh, I gotta get
Indiana.
Yep, over Indiana. Thank you. Texas A&M. Let's see here.
South Carolina.
Under 44.5. USC plus 6.5 at Notre Dame. Central Michigan minus 4.5 at home, and they are taking on Central Michigan. They're up here taking on Northern Illinois. So Central Michigan minus 4.5. Florida State playing UMass under 60.5. Bowling Green playing Eastern Michigan at home. Give me Bowling Green plus 3.5. Syracuse catching 3.5 on the road at Virginia Tech. We get Ohio. Kent State at Ohio. Give me under 66.5. Texas State at Georgia State. Texas State plus 10.5. Western Michigan minus 1.5 at Toledo. Ball State minus 4.5 against Miami of Ohio. Buffalo minus 11.5 at Akron.
Oh, opposite sides. I like it.
Sides there, yes. New Mexico at Wyoming. Give me New Mexico, the total on this game, under 40.5. Neither team could really score. Me Cal minus 8.5 against CU, Colorado at home. UAB minus 22.5 at home against Rice. East Carolina plus 13.5 at Houston. Louisville minus 6.5.
Hold on, buddy. Houston and where'd you say? Houston, East Carolina?
East Carolina plus 13.5.
Plus 13.5. All right. I was doing so weapon up with that fast pace, and that one got me. Flipping the page. A lot of games, folks. A lot of games.
A lot of games. A lot of games. Yep.
Plus 13.5. Okay.
Correct. Louisville minus 6.5 at home against BC. Liberty minus 21.5 at North Texas. Mississippi State minus 20.5 at Vanderbilt. South Florida minus 2.5 at home against Temple. Western Kentucky minus 14.5 at Florida International. South Alabama minus 13.5 at the ULM Warhawks. Nevada, Fresno State over 64.5. Virginia minus 6.5 at home against Georgia Tech. Utah minus 2.5 at Oregon State. TCU over 56.5 against West Virginia. And rounding it out, I'm going to go on the opposite side on the midnight special, folks. Give me New Mexico State. New Mexico State getting 17.5 at Hawaii.
I hope it comes down to that.
Yes, that would be great. And then my best bets this week, I am going to go with UTSA. Can't bet against Frank Harris and UTSA minus 6.5 at Louisiana Tech. Clemson Pitt over 47.5. And then Louisville minus 6.5 against BC. And those are the.
What was the first one there? What was the first best bet there?
UTSA minus 6.5 at Louisiana Tech.
Perfect. All right, folks, that is our show number 9 for you. College football slate on Saturday. Get those picks in. Use multiple sports books, as we always say. You want to look for 3 to 5 sports book to use to make sure you're getting the best value for your hard-earned money. But yeah, we will have the NFL show for you later on. But I'm Game Day Greg alongside Benny Buckets. Have a wonderful, wonderful college football game day, and we will see you next time.
Yes. See you guys.
Bye, folks.
Bye.